Bitcoin is holding on by a thread. So just an update from last video. I told you guys this bullish structure right here had to hold, and it did. We didn't make a lower low surpassing this white line right here. So as it stands right now, Bitcoin is still in the clear. If we do check the S&P 500 as well, I did outline this white line right here as an area of support that I did want to see hold. And you know, for anyone out there that doesn't believe in technical analysis, guess what? This acted as massive support for the S&P 500, and we did bounce up. Once again, I really don't want to see the S&P 500 fall below this white line right here, because if that does happen, then it opens up this entire range down here. And honestly, if the S&P 500 falls all the way down here, I mean, that's already going to be pretty bad for Bitcoin, as Bitcoin and the S&P are pretty correlated. But it also means, you know, there's been two more hits at this support basically, and the more times support is hit, generally speaking, the more likely it is to be weakened and for price to just eventually go through it, right? So I really do want to see this hold for me to remain bullish. Now, there has been some pretty worrying signs in the market that this bullish structure right here won't hold and that these are just temporary pumps. But before I get into then, I just want to remind you guys, if you're not on any of the exchanges I have listed down below, be sure to click those links and sign up to them and claim the massive bonuses. Some of the bonuses, such as the bonus next to Bybit, get up to $30,000 US, and that is free money you can trade with. Especially during times like this when the market is down, having that bonus money is super helpful when it comes to trading. So let's talk about some of the bearish news, and this has to do with a lot of these OG Bitcoin whales. Now, these whales have been offloading a ton of Bitcoin, especially this bull run right here. I think that's because, you know, they've been holding for such a long time, and 100k is a pretty psychological number. But yeah, you can see right here it spiked up a ton recently, right? So these are OGs selling Bitcoin. So the 30-day long-term holder distribution spike is one of the largest in the last 5 years, and these usually show up near macro tops, not bottoms, right? So if whales are selling, that is obviously not a good sign, and honestly it does point to this strength right here potentially being quite short term, right? So that is obviously not a good thing. So that's basically it on my market, right? We have some pretty bad news from OG whales. They're continuing to dump. However, Bitcoin is showing strength, and so is the S&P 500. So once again, I'm still sticking to my plan. I do want to see this bullish structure hold, meaning higher highs and higher lows right here, and for us not to go below this white line at around $83,967 US. And I do want to see this white line on the S&P 500 hold and us break above these two tops right here and go on to new all-time highs, right? If the S&P 500 does something like this and this bullish structure holds, then in my opinion that does set us up for at least a pretty big bounce here, possibly going back into the 100k regions. But if that doesn't happen, then obviously that could send us down another leg. Now, the absolute worst case scenario I see for Bitcoin, if we do end up having that next leg down scenario and we just break through all that support, is likely going to be in this region right here, right? So somewhere between 70k to 58k. To be fair, this consolidation level can probably go a bit lower, right? You know, we could probably draw something out like this, right? So maybe even the 50k, right? But in my opinion, this right here is probably the lowest I could see us go in a bear market. Maybe we could spike lower, but yeah, you know, if everything doesn't go to plan, if all support gets broken through, this area right here is where I'll be loading up on a bunch of Bitcoin and a bunch of altcoins. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, as you know, if this does happen, I'll be updating you on what exactly I'm buying and what exactly I'll be longing. And yeah, once again, be sure to take advantage of those bonuses I have in the description down below whilst the market is dropping to get you some free trades. I'll see you soon.